Hello, and welcome to Blowing Up Jabba's Sail Barge. This is part 9 of the series, which I've renamed Battle at the Sarlacc Pit, since that is what the series is building up to. I've included this video and the previous parts in the playlist tab for your convenience. I have Sabine with me today, the Ghost Crew's resident weapons and demolition expert, so I thought she would be a good help for us to blow it up. We'll get started here with the creativitoys that I have placed here already. So we have a button, I have a logic gate, I have a time delayer and a second time delayer. We have a repeater and an effects generator, which I have already connected to 20 locators for the explosion effects. We have a sound generator for the explosion sounds, a second repeater, a randomizer for the random explosions, and 10 effects generators for the random explosion effects. So we're going to hook up these locators to each of these effects generators. It's really not important the order you do this in, because the randomizer will randomize it anyway. I'm not going to fast forward to this because it just gives me a little bit of chance to talk about this. So I elected to use 20 locators for the final explosions to adequately cover up the sail barge and its replayer components as they are being removed from the screen when it explodes. I'm using 10 of them as my random explosions that lead up to the final destructive explosion, when all 20 will go off at the same time. You can alter this, you could have more or less, it's really up to you. This isn't my final product. I think it'll fit well in the gameplay. I may need to change it a little bit, but I think it'll work well. So just continue to hook up your locators to however many effects generators you want to use for random explosion locations. So here's our last one. Alright. Now our button here, we're going to do a new logic connection. When pressed, we're going to input into this logic gate. And then from this logic gate, we'll do a new logic connection on output, and we will start this first time delayer. This time delayer is the key to the entire sequencing of the random explosions and final explosions. I've set the properties to this to a delay time of 10. If you want the random explosions to last longer, increase that time. If you want it to last less, decrease the time. I'm going to go back to our logic gate here, and we'll also do new logic connection on output, and we're going to turn on the repeater. And from this first time delayer, when the delay is complete, we want to turn off the repeater to stop the random explosions. This repeater, do a new logic connection, repeat, and we will action the randomizer. Now from the randomizer, we're going to have to do 10 random triggers, which is the maximum you could do. That's why I went with 10. If you had more, you'd have to have another randomizer. So I'm setting this to explosions to huge explosion. Play once. Here again, new logic connection on random trigger number 2. Again, the order really doesn't matter. I'm going to play once. Explosions and huge explosion. I'm going to do that for all 10 of these. So now random trigger number 3, and we'll hook that up to the next one to play once again. Explosions and huge explosion. Now I'm going to fast forward here to the end, so continue to hook all those up. So now I'm up to random trigger number 9. So once again, play once, explosions, huge explosion. Last one here, number 10. And once again, play once, explosion and huge explosion. So these will be our 10 random locations to have 10 random explosions before the final destructive explosions go off at the same time. Now the properties here, maybe someone can tell me what they do in the comments. I experimented with this. I tried taking them down to 1. I tried taking them up to 10. It didn't seem to make a difference. The only time it made a difference is if I set it to 0. Then the explosion wouldn't go off. So I elected to set them to all to 10. Fast forwarding here down to the bottom. Like I said, anywhere between 1 and 10 didn't seem to affect the random generation of the effects for me. So maybe someone can explain to me in the comments how it works. Alright, so this logic gate inputs to the first time delayer to start the time delay, as well as to the repeater, and that controls the 10 random explosions. So on this first time delayer, we're going to do another new logic connection. When the delay is completed, we will start the delay on the second delay time delayer. Now I originally set my properties to 3, which meant on the final destructive explosions, when all 20 go off at the same time, I'd get 3 of them. I thought that was a little excessive, so I reduced that to 2. Set it to whatever value you want. If you want 5 explosions, set it to 5. Again, new logic connection. When deleted on the first time delayer, we will turn on the second repeater, and that will be for the final total explosions. And the second time delayer, when the delay is complete, we will turn off the repeater. For this repeater, new logic connection, repeat, we'll go to the special effects, play once, explosions, and we're going to want huge explosion. And the properties, I set this to 1. A rate of 1 means that there'll be 1 event each second. If you set it to 10, you'll only have 1 event every 10 seconds. So new logic connection again, repeat. We're going to hook up to our sound effects generator, and under action we'll go down and we're going to select the large explosion. This repeater, I didn't show it, but it was also set to a properties of 1. So repeat, we'll also select action and scroll down to large explosion for our sound effects. And the properties for this, I've turned off the 3D sound and I left the volume at 100%. Alright, that leaves us to start placing our locators. This was actually my first attempt at it, and it worked pretty well. I was somewhat guessing where to place them. So these, I'm placing first my 10 random explosion locators. So I'm going to put one on the bow about right in that position there, that curve block. And we'll grab our second one here. Again, the order of what you do this really doesn't matter, because the randomizer will change it every time the explosion effects go off. I'm trying to get about an even spacing here. And this one here is going to sit underneath this wedge block, but here at the floor level, the lower floor deck level, about right there on the edge. So I'm going to place that one right there. Eventually. There we go. Alright, we'll grab a third locator for our 10 random explosion effects. I don't want these all to be in a row, all in the same area. So I'm trying to mix up my locations here. So that's about where I want the next row to be. I'm going to place this one on the upper deck there, right on the edge of the rail. I did favor that left side of the sail barge because that's where the player is going to be facing. I'll probably hook up a camera view when the explosions start so that if there's one or two players, everyone's going to see the same view. It'll be a bit of a cinematic sequence as the sail barge explodes. I haven't fully decided on that, but that's what I'm leaning towards, is using a camera view, and it'll be viewing primarily on this left side. So this is where I'm placing my next locator, right there at the bottom floor level there at that last vertical wedge block before we get to the stern. Alright, so here's our 5th random locator. I'm just trying to judge some even spacing here, because I want to keep them about equally spaced on both sides. So this one I decided to put here at this top of this first wedge block on the edge of the rail. Alright, for our 6th one, and you don't have to exactly follow me on this, you can place your random effects locators where you like. This one I'm kind of measuring even with that other one that was on the top rail, and I'm going to put this one down on the lower deck, right on the edge there. Alright, for our 7th one, work back further towards the stern. So I've already put one at the stern there on the lower level. So this one I'm going to put up here on the upper level, right there on the upper edge of it. Right there. Alright, for number 8 here. Okay, I'm trying to find my locations here to make them match between the left and right hand sides. And I think I'm going to put this one, yeah, right there. Alright, 2 more to go. Here's number 9. So even with that one, and I'm going to put this one here on top at the rail's edge. Alright, last one. I originally was going to put that, because most of my locators were already on the left side. I was going to put one over here, and I decided no, the player is really going to be facing it from the other direction, and if I use a camera view, it'll be favoring this left hand side. So I elected to go ahead and put this last one right there in the middle on the bottom deck, on the edge of it. So that leaves the remaining 10. These are not set to the randomizers. This will be for the when all 20 effects go off at the same time at the final destruction. So I'm going to need some underneath the sail barge to cover up it disappearing, as well as the debris field once that gets developed when that comes up from below the train. So I'm going to place 4. Let's see, am I going to place that one underneath, or am I placing it somewhere else? I'm just trying to get my height right here. It's kind of hard to see, but about right there, even with the other ones underneath the sail barge. And I think we'll do 2 more here. Alright, That's about right there. And one more will go underneath, closer to the front of the bow. That should be this one here. So right there on that front curve block at the back side of it on the seam. About right there. Works pretty good. Or did I go a spot in? Right there. I went one spot in. Alright, our remaining 6 locators, we just need to fill in the remaining spots where we did not put locators. So we'll need one here opposite of this locator on the upper deck. And we'll need this one to fill in a missing space. Not there, we got 2 right underneath this one. So right there. Right on top of the ledge hang. And I think that means the 2 remaining missing ones might be on the other side. Yep, one opposite of that, there on the upper deck on the left hand side. And one more to go. The last 2 will go on top of the bow. Alright, let's see where we're missing one. I think this side is complete, so we're missing one on the other side. Or no, that's where it went. I thought we were missing one there. Alright, I put it right there on that right hand side on the front. Alright, and these 2 are going to sit about midpoint of the bow, just sitting above it. And I'm going to move it in one space here. I think I'm going to go up another space, up one space, and over to the right here. And it'll sit right there along that edge. And the last one's going to sit directly opposite of it. Alright, so that's all 20 of our effects generators for the explosions put into position. So final connections to make here. So once again, I originally set this time delay to 3 seconds, which meant I got 3 explosions. I ended up going to 2. I could increase it again. Do whatever is appealing to you for that time delay. The higher that value, the more explosions you have. I never showed you before the properties of this repeater. Just like the other repeater, it's set to a rate of 1, so that there'll be an event once every second, so an explosion every second through the randomizer. Alright, this time delayer is what triggers the whole sequencing. So we need to do a new logic connection. When the delay is completed, we're going to input to this logic gate, which is connected to the path for the sail barge, to reset and play and make it disappear. You also need to do a new logic connection when the delay is completed. We need to go connect to this logic gate, which clears the 3 replayers and removes Jabba from the friend generator when the ship is destroyed. So that's all of the connections. Everything's in place. We'll give it a test here. Get our random explosions, 10 of them. 10 seconds with the repeater of set to 1 gives us exactly 10. And I get our 2 final explosions because that second time later is set to 2 seconds. And the repeater is set to 1, so that's 2 explosions, 1 each second. So everything's back in place. Jabba's back aboard. Just take a run over here to the desert skiff, and we'll blow it up one more time and give you a view from the desert skiff again. machine never misses. So here's our 10 random explosions. A little bit different each time. I like that. And our 2 final massive explosions where all 20 locators go off at the same time. And then we can once again reset. So there you have it. This brings to a close part 9, blowing up Jabba's sail barge. Still have plenty of work to do. I have been concentrating on getting these tutorials out for anyone that wants to construct their own sail barge using my guidelines and specifications. If you are, like I said before, I hope it's going well for you. I still need to work on the debris field. That's my next task, and once I get that completed, then I'll move on to the gameplay and story elements of how the fight will take place and how the player will get back and forth between the 2 vehicles. Like I said in my preview video, I'll be using the rail slides for that. But thanks again for watching, and have a great day.